Hey everyone, Jeremy here. It's Tuesday night, and we're going to create some art. I don't have a lot to report. It's been kind of a low-key week so far, so I'm just going to jump right into it. So what are we working on tonight? I wanted to do a black lab picture. I think I've done like one before, and it was on black paper where I was using like the white to show highlights. I want to do like the complete opposite. I want to use white paper and try to make that black lab as black as it can be. So a lot of times when I work with charcoal, I don't get the really dark values in there that I'd like to get. So I want to really try to get this dog to be as black as it can be. Like not sacrificing details. So like there's going to be some light areas and things like that. But the dark parts of the dog, I hope to be super black. So without any further intro, I'm just going to jump right into it. I see Trusted Living's in the chat. That's kind of cool. Hey, man. Do you guys want to chat with me while I'm doing this? That's great. But I'm just going to jump right into it. So I don't have bourbon tonight. I'm drinking muscadine wine, which is pretty good. I don't even know anything about muscadine, but it's kind of a sweet flavor. It's very sweet. So I don't know. I usually like the dry wines, but I'm going to drink it. It's pretty good. So to try to make this dog dark, I'm just going to like make a lot of marks with this really soft charcoal, like the softest I've got, because the softer it is, the darker it's going to be. And I'm not going to get like really crazy with trying to figure out where this dog's going to be on the page. I kind of figure I'm just going to do one of my messy sketches and then just try to bring the dog out of it. So I guess this would be like the general area of the ear. This would probably be his head shape. So I'm just kind of going nuts on the page, and I figure I'll refine it. You guys have seen some of these, like where you make a big mess and then you can try to refine it later. So that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm just kind of trying to block out some shapes here. I feel like that would be an ear. This would kind of be his cheek area. So Trusted, you said that you were gonna order some charcoal. Did those show up? Did you do any charcoal pictures? I don't remember if you made any progress with that or not. See, I can multitask. I can talk while I'm drawing. A skill. Hey Robert G, how's it going? I'm making a big old mess of charcoal, and then I'm going to try to pull a dog out of it. Like, basically, this whole dog's going to be black because it's a black lab. So I don't feel like I need to worry too much about details or where things are at the moment. I can kind of figure it out as I go, just as I kind of scratch on the paper. I did a portrait earlier today where I was trying to get values out of it. They were super dark. And it's a lot harder than I thought it would be. So I kind of wanted to practice with that with my go-to animal pictures. Muscadine, old school, yeah. I'm not even sure like where this came from. I think it's from South Carolina. I think my dad picked it up on one of his trips. But it's pretty good. Not like I don't even know what a muscadine is. Is that like a vine or something? I assume it's kind of like a berry or whatever, like kind of grape-like. I don't know. Like you can basically make wine out of any kind of like sweet, fruity thing. So I guess it wouldn't have to be. I guess it would have to be grape-like. I don't know. Trying to think of some of the weirder wines that I've had in my life. Like I think there's a peach wine. That's definitely not a vine thing. Oh, an optical board. Neat. Going digital then? I think one of these days, like I don't know. I'm not a digital person. I like the tactileness of like getting your hands dirty. Like already I've got smudges on my hands and stuff. I like that part of this. But I do have Photoshop, I am kind of interested in just playing with that a little bit, maybe download some brushes and see how it goes. I might do that at some point. It's not going to be my go-to. Like, obviously, digital is cheaper than buying paper and charcoal and watercolors and all that stuff, but I don't know. I like the hands-on stuff. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to experiment. So I think I might actually experiment with Photoshop one of these days. Just see how it goes. So again, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to just kind of feel my way around this dog's face. Kind of like obviously there's no initial sketch or anything like that. I'm just kind of making up as I go along. I do have like a reference photo of a dog over here, but it's only kind of like loosely following it. I'm trying to find different values. But again, the goal today is to make like some of these values. So like this is still kind of like really light. I want that to be super dark when I'm done. But right now I just have to know where all the pieces of the dog are before I get into all that. Like I will probably err on the side of making something dark even if it's like light in the reference photo. Just to practice making really dark areas. I think there's an ear over here that you can barely see. It's the first grape native to North America used for wine. Well, there you go. I don't hear about people drinking muscadine wine a lot. Like, I'm not a wine expert or anything like that, but you don't hear about it that much. I guess maybe it fell out of favor. Fell out of favor, not fell out of flavor. I gotta make sure the little eyes are kind of lined up. This one's slightly at a slope. I do like drawing like this with the stick. It's like brings me back to my pastel days, which was like 2 months ago. All time type. Oh. Oh, reflect. Oh, okay. Kind of like how they used in school back in the day to like overhead projector type things, something like that. Well, I guess that would be transparencies, but I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen those. Like I might have even used one when I was younger. Yeah, like there's other ways to kind of like, you don't have to do this madness that I'm doing where you're like making it up as you go. There's other ways to kind of get your proportions. Um, I do have like some transfer paper, and I can show you what that looks like. So they sell this stuff at let's see, at like Michael's or Hobby Lobby, one of the two, but it's graphite paper. You could use that to trace an image if you wanted to. I've used it like once or twice. I don't know. I'm trying to develop these skills of kind of freehanding, so I try not to use it that much. But if I have like an important thing that I'm working on, I might use the transfer paper. And then one of these days I'm going to get around to showing the grid method just because I do find that that's pretty useful as well. So I think his mouth is going to be, or like, well, this is all his mouth, I guess, but so going to come down a little bit for his nose here. And then this kind of comes in a little bit to this little landmark that I made. Smolier, small. So yeah, I would be like I have a French bottle of wine, and I'm like, well, I don't want to grab that because like they might ask me what it is, and I'd have to try to pronounce it. Chateau de something, whatever. I don't know. So I can't even pronounce. I know what you're saying there. Sommelier, sommelier. I don't know. I can't pronounce that shit. I know what you're talking about. The person who goes around and recommends the wine. So this should come down from here. And this should come down from here. Now I'm not really like committing to any of these shapes because they're so like abstract. I can still move them around just by making more marks, you know. I'm not like committed to any of these yet. So, I mean, it sounds mysterious, but it's really not. You just draw a grid on your paper and you draw a grid on whatever your reference photo is or something, and you can do that in Photoshop easily. And then you just kind of like draw blocks at a time. So, like, say this is a block on the paper. I would just draw what I see inside the thing. It takes a big thing and it gets it down to like small shapes. I have had mead. It like honey mead, I think it was, or maybe all mead's honey. I don't know, but it was pretty good. A little bit sweet. I don't know. I'm not a big sweet person. Like I like a dry wine, like a. See, I can't pronounce it either. Shiraz. You guys just get me to say these things so you can make fun of me. I know what's going on. You have on your little computers out there making fun of how I pronounce things. If I continue drinking wine, I'm going to look up how to pronounce all this crap. Let's see. So somewhere around here, I think, the dog's body kind of comes back this way. And kind of disappears off the page. He's looking rough right now. I ain't gonna lie. We'll have to refine this guy here in a little bit. I was gonna break out the Bud Light, but I figured you could make fun of me for that. I don't know. You can't drink bourbon all the time. Like bourbon's really good, but you know, livers and stuff, kidneys. I don't know. I don't know how the body works. So there's like this kind of like dark line here. It's kind of cool. Like dogs, whatever this part is, not the jowls, but the neck, I guess, kind of gets split into these different areas. It's kind of neat. Let's see, and then this part here kind of comes down. The Queen of Beers. There you go. The same company, Anheuser-Busch, makes my Natty Daddy, though. Like, I love my Natty Daddy. You can say whatever you want about Bud Light. I don't care. Um, I love the Natty Daddy. I don't know why people give that stuff crap. You know, it's got there's like there's a lot to a Natty Daddy, including the headaches you wake up with the next morning. But now everybody I know has been drinking like Coors Light lately. It's kind of silly, but I like Coors Light too. Um, I started drinking that more after I started heading out to the Rockies and you know when in Rome, started drinking the Coors Light because that's made out there. So it's kind of starting to look like a dog a little bit. Got these little eyeballs up here. We'll refine that a little bit later. Yeah, you could do that. So like so I would I would do it in Photoshop, or you can like take a picture from a magazine or something, and you can take a picture from a magazine and just kind of like print it out and just kind of draw over it with any kind of like opaque material. You can, if it's a light picture, you can use a pen, or you can use one of those gel pens, like a white gel pen or something like that. But you just kind of like draw out a grid, like, I don't know, 1, 2 inch squares or something like that. And then you draw proportional ones. So like this is a 9 by 12 piece of paper. So you would draw, like, let's say that you did like 1 inches. You would do like, 9 across on your reference picture, and then 9 across on your paper. And then, that, everything's going to be in proportion. You just have to draw what's in each square and make sure that like the line. So like if this line overlaps in this square with this square, then you have to just kind of make sure that they line up. And it's definitely a helpful tool in your tool belt. Like these are all just tools in your tool belt. You're not stuck on any one of them. It's just ways to make your picture look more realistic by getting the proportions correct. Like, you don't want your dog's head to be too big for the body or something like that. Now, I'm just eyeballing it here, but if I was really serious about what I was doing, yeah, sure, I would do something like that for sure. Ain't no shame in it. Even the masters back in the day, they had some sort of system. Um, and even the masters get it wrong if they try to like drawing from like they call it life drawing, uh, like whether you're drawing a person or nature or something like that, it's tough, you know. It's a totally different skill set than drawing from a picture, because nature doesn't have like these little boxes on them and stuff like that. So that's where I want to be at some point. So I practice, doing like I'm doing here, where I'm just kind of like drawing shapes as I see them. So the technique that I do when I do these things is it's just like relational mapping. So, I might draw, I started with the ear, right? So I know that midway down the ear, slightly above midway is you're going to be your eye. Um, from this like little corner come across there's your nose. So I'm just kind of mapping it out in relation to the things I've already drawn. But there's really no reason why I have to do that. I could have started with like a grid or something like that. Maybe I'll do that at just to show you guys what I'm talking about instead of trying to explain it. All right, so I got this, but I want to go super dark, so I'm not happy with it, but that's the first step. So I am going to blend some of this stuff so that we don't have all this texture that you see, and then kind of build up from there. But see, once I blend, well, I can't really see on camera. It's kind of like a little bit gray, and I don't like that. So I have to be a little bit more careful when blending because like I gotta kind of further refine this stuff. Like this is the part where you kind of like actually turn your mess into real shapes that you're using, right? So through here, for example, there's like some shading, but not so much through these other parts. So you have to kind of use a light touch there to refine these shapes, and you know, it's almost like sculpting. I like to refer to it as sculpting a lot because it kind of, so you start off with like a lump of clay, and then you start, you know, pulling pieces off of it. So the lump of clay is this big old mess that we started with, and now we're kind of like smoothing it out, refining some shapes like you would if you were sculpting, I think. I don't know. I don't do a lot of sculpting. That would be kind of fun. So I can finally take my head. Is Packer Jack bothering you, Mr. Doll? Yeah, get a better pose going. Stupid gravity. I think I need to extend this leg out. I'm sitting here playing with dolls instead of drawing. There you go. Just sit up. There you go. You happy, Packer? There you go. Yeah, Jeremy plays with dolls on YouTube. He was kind of sleeping on the job. He's been doing that for a couple of episodes now. He needs to sit up and pay attention. So like I got him just for he's actually came from my dad. My dad gave him to me because like he had him for some reason. I don't think he ever used him for like drawing or whatever. But anyway, he had him like just laying around the house. He probably came with like some art set that they bought at some point because they're into like crafty things. So anyway, he gives it to me, and I put it on my desk. I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. I'll just have him sitting on the desk like for these YouTube streams and stuff, just to give somebody something to look at, um, while they're watching or whatever. But now I talk to him, like now he's like half my problem solver. So like I'll tell him like, well, what do you think about this? He never really replies though. But anyway, he's become a bit of a companion. Still haven't given him a proper name. It's just Mr. Doll. I got my window open over here, so all the neighbors are probably hearing me talk about my doll. I don't really talk to my neighbors much, but they probably think I'm crazy. It's okay. I think they're crazy too. I'm pretty sure the guy over here is a serial killer. Maybe. So I think he's starting to look like a dog, right? Need some more work, but getting close. And I always screw up the proportions. I'm not really good at that yet. Like whenever I'm drawing a portrait of a person, something's off. Like very rarely do I get a really good picture of that, but it's all practice. The more I do it, the better I get at it, and well, I think the better I get at it. I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't seem like I'm making any progress, but trust that process, right? That's what they always say. Trust the process. Mr. Brown. I mean, he is brown. So you went searching for stuff this past weekend, didn't you? I believe so. Either that or it was the weekend before. I kind of lose track sometimes. Do you feel like you're making any progress, Packer, or do you feel like you're just as lost as like when you started? Not insinuating that you were lost. I mean, maybe you figured out pretty quickly. So I've talked about this before, but I like to hold whether it's a pencil or in this case a blending stump, kind of like far away. And the reason why is you get more motion that way. Like you have like more power behind your marks. And also it's so that you don't end up with smudges all over yourself when you're working with pencil or charcoal or whatever. I mean, it's kind of looking like a dog. You never know when you start these things. Went to an art fair over the weekend, and it was pretty cool. Like a lot of local artists. Like I don't know, I go there to steal ideas of like what to draw. And there was this one booth that all they drew were like bourbon labels, like bourbon bottles with like the labels and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's freaking brilliant because you're always like looking for things that people actually um, want you to draw, right? Like that's you want to practice what people actually care about. People like pets, for example. That's why I do so many pets. Um, people like portraits. That's why I'm trying to do better portraits. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. Anyway, point is, I was like, man, that's brilliant, because like that's like perfect accessory to like a man cave or a bar or something like that. Like whoever came up with that idea was pretty smart. And then of course, because it's Kentucky, there was like a lot of horse portraits, things like that. Oh, you dug a better not admit that. You might want to delete that there, Packer. You never know, the feds might be watching my channel. Actually, I don't even think that that's a that's probably like state-owned park. I really don't know. So I'm kind of creating the fur just by smudging the charcoal here, which is kind of cool. So all this through here will be black. A lot of dog fur here. These dogs take so long because they're like so furry. Yeah, there were some people with the bourbon bottles was really cool. I might give that a shot at some point. And then like a lot of horses, things of that nature. There was this one lady who did like I don't know, like heart type art. I don't know. Like I don't know, the kind of art that you would think Wednesday Adams might do. Not really horror, but just kind of like dark. And I don't know. Her booth was pretty popular, so maybe there's like people into that. Like a scary mermaid, I don't know, like monsters. And then there's something called a gallery hop this weekend on Friday, so that's kind of cool. I'll probably go to that. That's where all the local art galleries. Who said you were in the park? um, all the local art galleries open basically have an open house where they like serve wine and cheeses and stuff, and you just kind of go around to all the different galleries, and it's called a gallery hop because like there's a bunch of them all around town. Like you probably have to drive to get them all, but if you're like downtown, you can probably knock out many of them, and it's kind of fun. Uh, like even not even like planning to. I usually run into people I know at these things, like friends and stuff. So it's kind of an excuse to see some art, maybe drink some wine, run into people you know. Just kind of extending this out a little bit, even though that's not part of the dog. A little bit of texture in the background. Happy little texture. I don't know. Everybody tries to imitate Bob Ross. Nobody can really imitate Bob Ross. That dude was just happy all the time, or just I don't know, content. So it's basically a smudge painting of a dog at this point. I'm gonna try to refine it a little bit more so it's not so rough. But kind of if you just left it like this, I mean, it's not my style. Well, I don't know, it's close to my style, but this is a style of art, you know. I don't know exactly what style this would be. A little bit expressive. Oh, you commissioned a piece of art. What do you what are you getting done? Oh, sticky art raid. Uh-oh. I'm prepared for you guys this time. Welcome, people from Sticky Art. Welcome to my channel. How you guys doing? Yeah, sticky art's the best. So like if you want to see some cool art, like he does a lot of like I don't know, just cool different things. Like the one thing that I saw him doing, he was working on a I think it was SpongeBob, maybe it was Mario, and and yeah, he was doing it in 4 different styles. I like that. I'm gonna try that myself sometime. But anyway, I subscribe to his channel. I definitely encourage you guys to as well. Sticky Art's the bomb. Hey everybody, just drawing a doggo. This is a black lab. It looks a little rough now, but hopefully I can refine it a little bit. I don't know. I'm still learning, you know. I'm not like an expert or anything like that, not a professional, just making my way through it. Glad you guys could join me. So if you're new here, I do encourage you guys to check back. Like I do these things every Tuesday and Friday, and then sometimes if I get bored, I'll probably chime in as well. But I don't know. I love dogs. I do dogs a lot. I do just random things, bunch of different styles. I don't think I have a particular style. I don't know. Maybe I'm developing one, but I'm still kind of new. Like the channel's kind of new. I've only been doing this since January, so still kind of getting my feet wet. Man, that's a lot of people checking. Wow, that's cool. Man, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys showing up. Man, that's cool. I just like it when people support the arts in general. Like, you know, there's a ton of things for you guys to be watching on YouTube, and you guys are watching art. That's super cool. I imagine many of you guys are artists or aspiring artists and stuff. It's kind of cool that everybody on YouTube in the art community kind of supports each other. That's really cool. Hey kid, how's it going? Hey, thanks, Glitchly Demon. Um, for those of you who are kind of new here, I'm based in Kentucky in the United States, so I don't know how to pronounce shit. So the goal here is I wanted to make a black lab, but I want to make them like super black. So like this guy is still kind of gray, so I really want to kind of like make these tones super dark. So I may end up going over a lot of the um, art several times just to really get those dark values if I can. Because I've been doing charcoal pictures a lot lately, and I've kind of noticed that they come out like a little gray. Hey, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is on the About tab. Usually I just make art for fun. I don't really sell my art. Maybe one day when I get better at it. But right now I'm just kind of I started this channel because I had a New Year's resolution to be more creative. In my day job, I don't really get a chance to be all that creative. So I started this channel with the goal of being more creative. I thought I might do like, hey, Sticky Art, there he is. Hey, I appreciate you sending people this way. That's awesome. I subscribe to your channel. Your art is awesome. Anyway, so like I started this channel just as like a New Year's resolution to be more creative. And I set myself the goal of just like, I don't know, creating like art once a week or something like that. And I've kind of become addicted to it. And now I create art every day. So at least I put out a short every day. And I do these live streams, but I'd like to do, I don't know, somewhere I can really sink my teeth into it and spend like several days doing it. I haven't gotten to that point yet. I try to do like, I don't know, I try to finish a piece in one session. One of these days I'll get around to like, I don't know, devoting more time to it maybe. Instead of like, I don't know, cranking out a short every day, I'll just do it every 2 days. I don't know. $17 a square inch. That's great. The other thing is I like to get messy. So like I do enjoy charcoal and like dry mediums like pastels and stuff like that. I'm trying to get into like watercolor and gouache. Um, I don't know. I'll get there eventually. But right now my go-to is kind of just getting my hands all messy. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you want to pet this dog, go for it. You'll end up with black all over your hands. Super cute dog. The other day I did Cosmo from like Guardians of the Galaxy. So like if you guys haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy yet, you guys really need to go out there and see that. It is the best. It's probably one of, I wouldn't say it's Marvel's best movie because that would be overstating it, but it's certainly in their top 10 as far as I'm concerned. And it's a tough call because, Wakanda Forever came out. That was pretty good. But and like who doesn't like Spider-Man? So I don't know if it's the best since Endgame, but I don't think that that's a stretch. It's certainly one of my favorites since Endgame. Yes, this is charcoal. I'm trying to get a super black dog. Like every time I work with charcoal, like the values come out like kind of gray and stuff. So I'm really trying to get really dark on this one. Um, I kind of like charcoal because it's like easy to blend. You can get those really dark values that you have to work so hard for in graphite. I like drawing in graphite just because I feel like I can control it a little bit more. Like for some reason, my charcoal, I'm not there on my skill set yet where I can kind of like really get fine details in charcoal, but it's what I've been using the most lately. Well, nice to see you, MG Gaming. I appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully, you'll stop back by again sometime. Again, I'll be back Friday. I don't know what I'll be drawing. It's kind of random, whatever hits my mood. For those few who actually do watch my channel outside of Sticky Art sending a bunch of people over here, make sure you go and check out Sticky Art's channel as well. He's pretty awesome. Let's see. So I'm gonna use a blending stump around the eyes. I'm trying to avoid using a blending stump for most of this, except for just kind of like getting rid of some of the texture. But I want these eyes to be super realistic, even if like the coat of the dog isn't. I guess mostly like this is kind of like an attempt, not really a value study. I want to try to like put more detail into it than like a quick value sketch or whatever, but I really want to get the values right on this. And I would screw this part up, so I want to make sure that the eyes are kind of the same size on each side. Best I can do. So, don't mind me for a moment. I want to pay really close attention to these eyes. So there's like not so in a black dog like this, there's not like a lot of information there anyway because like it kind of gets lost. But some of the parts like the eyes and stuff, somebody's gonna see that and kind of judge you by it. So you have to pay a little closer attention to that. Like if you get a shadow off here or there on a dog, nobody's gonna care as long as it kind of resembles the dog. Especially if you're doing like a dog portrait, it's very essential that you get the essence of the dog for the owner. But if you screw a little bit up in the fur, nobody's gonna like sweat that too much. But if you screw up the eyes, the eyes kind of tell the story. I mean, I do have kind of like a go-to thing that I draw. I do like drawing horses, but I live in Kentucky, so that's my excuse. It is the horse capital of the world. So a lot of people around here um, like horses. So if you're going to draw pictures that you might want to put on display around here, like at a gallery or like an art fair or something like that, you've got to be good at drawing horses, and that's really where I sink a lot of time into practicing. As far as drawing people portraits and stuff, I just want to get better at that so that I can draw people if like anybody ever asks me to. Um, that's not as critical in my development, I guess. But I don't know. Plus, who doesn't like drawing people? It's fun. The pets and stuff is just mostly because I like pets. And if I become known for drawing anything in particular, it'd be kind of cool to be known for drawing pets. You can't you can't like get bored of drawing pets. I enjoy it. So spend a lot of time on that. Hey, Lego Master. Excuse me if I ignore anybody in the chat and stuff. I try to check in and stuff, but sometimes I get lost in the picture and don't pay a ton of attention to it. I'm trying to get better at that. Like I said, I've only been doing this since January, so you guys got to cut me some slack. Let's see, 2 a.m. It is 8 p.m. here on the east coast of the United States. 2 a.m. I'm trying to guess where that would be. Is that like the UK maybe? Wow, 3 a.m. Where are you guys at? I was thinking about doing like an earlier show, one of the days of the week, and then do a later show, just to kind of like broaden the audience a little bit so that everybody can kind of participate. Oh, the UK, yeah, I guessed it. So, I got a buddy in the UK who stops in every now and then. Like, if you see Just Dave in here sometime, he's from the UK as well. I forget what part of the UK. Yeah, he's a big dog lover as well. He works with dogs, or at least part of his career he did. I don't know if he still works with them. All right, so I'll come back and add some highlights to this nose as I get further along, but I feel like that's gonna need some special care. I've got white pastels for adding highlights over charcoal. I don't know how crazy I'm gonna get with it, but like little highlights here and there. Just kind of trying to smooth the dog's face out, get it to have like some sort of expression. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm wow, in Africa. You might be the first person I've gotten from Africa. That's kind of cool. Man, I'm going international here. This is awesome. So for those of you who are like late or this is your first time showing up, I'm in Kentucky in the United States. So we're in the Eastern time zone, so it's only uh well, it's almost 9 o'clock here. But I don't know. It's kind of pretty. Like we get a bad reputation. Kentucky is like just a bunch of redneck hicks and stuff, and that's probably true for most of us. That is true. But also, we're the state that has the Derby. We have Louisville, which is practically the Midwest. We have Northern Kentucky, which is practically Cincinnati. So I like to think that there's like a couple of different Kentuckys out there. And when people are talking about like rednecks and stuff, they're probably talking more like Eastern Kentucky or something like that, the Appalachian area. But I don't know. There's some really nice people out there. Anyway, we just have a reputation for being rednecks. We're not all rednecks. So I'm using charcoal. Charcoal comes in like three different types mostly. Hey, why must I go? Um, Thank you. This is a black lab. I'm trying to make it super black, so I'm going over the same spots over and over. So as I was saying, I am using charcoal. So the type of charcoal I've got comes in basically three different like hardnesses, and the harder it is, the lighter it's going to be. So basically for this picture, I'm using all this soft charcoal, and the soft charcoal is giving me like a lot darker value, and going over it like multiple times really kind of like solidifies that blackness in this black lab, which is what I was shooting for. Even though my reference picture actually like a lot of it's gray, um, I'm trying to go for like super dark here if I can, just as like a test for myself to see if I can do it. And if you go back and look at the beginning, like I am going to post a short tomorrow, so don't feel like you have to go back and rewatch everything. The short will be kind of like a time lapse. I forget some of you guys are new and haven't really checked out my format, but if you go back and watch, like basically, I just kind of start with a scribble mess and kind of like try to block things out and kind of get a feel for all where all the different pieces are of the dog's face, and then kind of just build from there. Like once I have a big mess like what I've got here, I kind of come back and try to refine it a bit. I liken it to like the blocking part, more like sculpting a bit, maybe. Um, Maybe that's overstating it, but that's the way I think of it in my mind. Um, and then this part is probably more akin to painting, where you have like an underpainting and you're trying to come back and further refine it. That's what I have in my mind, at least. I didn't go to art school. I'm self-taught, kind of making up as I go along. So in my mind, this is like painting with charcoal. I think some people refer to it as painting. I don't know. It's tough for me. Like people refer to charcoal and pastel as painting, even though it's a dry medium, which I guess technically maybe it is, but for me it's kind of hard to call it painting. I just call it drawing, but I still look at it as a painter. All right, well, get some sleep and like I appreciate you stopping in. Hope to see you again. Yeah, UK is awesome. I would love to go and visit the UK, to be honest. You do originals. What do you mean by originals? So like in my mind, originals are just not prints, right? If you mean like something where you're just drawing um, without any reference, yeah, I could probably do that. I have done that on some of the pictures I've done. Probably nothing like this. Like I don't have a dog memorized in my brain to where I could draw this without having something to look at. But I could probably. Oh, okay. All right. 1K. Just shorts challenge. Hmm. I do like challenges. So like if anybody wants to challenge me with something, I'll do that. So like no reference, just pulling from memory. It depends on what I'm drawing. So like I don't know. I grew up drawing, I don't know, like comic book type stuff. So I could probably draw a superhero. I can draw ninjas. Um, I could probably make up a character kind of in that same vein just because like I know basic human anatomy. I can draw a head and body and stuff like that. Uh, I can probably create a character from scratch in my mind. Doing something as complicated as a dog, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. I could draw a really bad dog. Like not a bad dog as in the dog is bad, but I can draw a bad picture of a dog. I excel in drawing bad pictures. I'm very good at drawing bad pictures. Yeah, so we've got a lot going for us if you come over here. Like I would, I don't know, if you're into horses, I can recommend Kentucky. If you're into drinking bourbon, Kentucky's a great place to go to. If you just like looking at beautiful scenery, yes, Leroy, when I drew that cartoon character, that was from scratch. And I think my inspiration there was having grown up watching a lot of Simpsons. So heavily relied on like the Simpsons style to create that cartoon character. So if you like just like like green lands and stuff like that, I think Kentucky actually looks a lot like the UK. Um, so I don't know if you want to come to Kentucky because it probably will remind you a lot of home. But if you're not going for all of that, there's definitely some cooler places to go to in the United States. I've got some nieces and nephews that live in Sweden, and they love it out here when they come out here, but they always want to go somewhere else when they come to visit. Oh, thanks, kid. I appreciate that. Yeah. Leroy was a lot of fun. I just ran out of material as far as scripts go. I love doing cartoons and all that. I couldn't think of any more stories. I'll probably get around to making more. I just ran out of ideas and kind of gave up. I think the last short I made for Leroy was like a year ago almost maybe. Yeah, so it's definitely rural out here. I live in central Kentucky. There's not like a lot of there's not a lot around here. We have a university. We have the University of Kentucky, which is famous for like basketball. So like the Wildcats. Um, but no, it's mostly rural around here, just like a bunch of horse farms. Let's see. Sorry, I got lost in my picture again. I think that looks pretty good. Oh yeah, I did the Ben and Ashley Funko Pop knockoff. Yeah, but again, not a lot of detail there. So it's not like I had to look at Ben and Ashley to kind of remember what they look like. I've seen them countless times before. So that one was an easy one. So yeah, I guess I can do things from like just memory to a degree. It just that definitely diminishes when it comes to like complexity of detail, Like here, I keep looking over at the reference picture just to kind of see where various different shadows are and stuff like that. I can probably make those up because, like, really, that the light source is up here, it's coming down on his face, and you know the basic anatomy of a dog. So it's gonna hit the edge of the ear and kind of show some highlight there. There's gonna be some folds in the ear that kind of like taper off into shadows. Um, there's probably multiple light sources. So this is probably like a 3-point lighting system. There's probably one that's coming down here, like a softer light. There's definitely a backlight that's illuminating. I'm not going to draw it, probably, but he's got like a backlit to his ears, and then probably a light source over here as well. So like even in my own studio, this extra room um, I've got one light here, I've got a light over here, and then I've got this light behind me. So 3-point lighting system is pretty classic. I think they did that for this dog picture as well. So you can kind of like figure all that out if you thought about it. I don't have the complexity of thought to come up with all of that. If I'm just drawing a dog, I would probably draw a pretty simple dog if I was drawing it from. But these are different skill sets, right? So like we talked earlier about how drawing from photos is a completely different skill set than doing life art drawing, right? So I started this without any kind of like cheat. So like I didn't have a tracing or anything like that because I'm trying to get better at doing live art. Totally different skill set than drawing from like photos and stuff like that. Anyway, I've been rambling. Yeah, so I want to say I don't know which is more popular. Is it Jim Beam or is it Maker's Mark? Because Maker's Mark's pretty up there too. but I think that's a Japanese bourbon. Like it's a Japanese company. I'm not really sure. Thanks, Lego Master. You're awesome. I hope you get plenty of sleep and check back and like I'd love to see other people's art. So like if you guys are into art and stuff like that, send me a link or something. Like I said, my email's on the about page. Um, I like to check out the art of people who come to watch my channel. I think YouTube's great for as far as a community goes. Like I've been really surprised. Like I said, I just started this in January and everybody's so nice. Like even when I create crappy art, people are like, "Hey, you're doing a great job." But yeah, I love the community here. This is awesome. So as you can see, mostly I'm just scribbling, but what's that line in Toy Story where Buzz Lightyear is falling, but he says he says he's flying, and then the other guy says, "No, that's just falling," and he's like, "Well, it's falling with style," or something like that. I'm just scribbling with style here. You said you're very, yeah. Don't sell yourself short. I think it's a great start. Why must I go? Like everybody's got to start somewhere. You don't just hop in and create masterpieces. I'm I mean, you can see mine compared to like people who are masters. I've got a long ways to go, you know. But also, I've committed to practicing every day, and I really think that if you really want to really get good at it, that's almost a requirement, you know. And you don't have to go on YouTube and do all of that stuff. You can just take a little sketch pad with you, and when you go to the bar or the pub or something like that, just draw what you see, you know. When you're sitting in the waiting room at the doctor's office, just kind of draw the potted plants or, the receptionist or, well, you might want to ask permission before you draw the receptionist. Like people get kind of weirded out when you're like staring at them for like 30 minutes. It's like, why are you staring at me? I'm just trying to draw your picture. But yeah, I mean, just draw any random, draw this like little dummy or something, or draw a glass of wine, or I've got a little potted plant over here. Draw that. Yesterday, I didn't want to like go overboard, so I drew a geese. That I saw on a kayaking trip I took over the weekend. It doesn't really require you to create like full masterpieces or something. The idea is just, the more you practice, the better you get. This is the fun part. I like to smudge with my fingers. There's like all these tools and stuff, like blending stumps and whatever. I like to get in there and get my hands dirty. This is a pretty dog. I like this dog. My dogs are over here, so why don't you guys do cute stuff like this dog? It's a pretty dog. Speaking of the geese picture, so this is kind of funny. I posted it up on Instagram, and I've been doing all these dog pictures. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. I'm gonna call you Troy because like why must I go is like I know your name's Troy, so I'm just gonna call you by your name. Um, anyway, so like I've been doing all these dog pictures lately, and then I did that geese picture yesterday or the day before yesterday. Yesterday. Okay, so I posted up on Instagram, and so this dog is looking off to the right, but all the other dog pictures I've done, for some reason, they're all looking off to the left. Well, when you post to Instagram, if you're on the desktop version, it's like left to right on the grid view. So I'm looking at the grid view, and here's this new picture that's a geese, and all these old pictures of dogs, and they're all staring up at the geese like they want to eat the geese. I should have taken a screenshot of it because this is the funniest thing. I don't know. It was funny to me. Maybe you guys think it's stupid, but I thought it was funny. All these like drawing dog picture drawings, just wanting to eat that geese drawing picture. So again, I'm going for super dark on this, so I don't want any of these like light areas to be actually white. I want them to be kind of gray. And then if I need to put in white, I want that to be like a highlight that I put in with like pastel. I don't want the paper to show through, if that makes sense. So it's kind of hard to see, but this through here is not actually white. It's kind of gray. The camera kind of sucks, but um, if I had some, I would probably be doing this on toned paper, which is really what really if you want a tip, and this is like so obvious, like it's not really a tip. It's just like for if you're a complete beginner and don't know any better, um, get some toned paper if you're going to work in charcoal. It is so much easier because like the real technique for working in charcoal is to use the paper tone as your midtones, right? And then you're just drawing your shadows and highlights, and so all your shadows become the charcoal. Your midtones are the paper itself, and then there's white charcoal, or it's really pastel. There's no such thing as white charcoal, but it's kind of like a hard pastel. So you've got like white charcoal pencils, and that becomes your highlights, you know. And those are your three different parts that make up your picture. And if you start with the tone paper, you've already saved yourself a lot of trouble. Starting with this white paper, you got to come in and you got to add your midtones, you got to add your shadows, and then you got to make sure that you don't cover up your highlights, you know. So this is probably not the easiest way to go about it. It's just I've got a bunch of white paper, so one of these days I'll go out and get some proper tone paper. And there's a name for it. I think it's Comte. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but yeah, yeah, that's cool. Um, anyway, I think it's Comte, but it's a technique that like you know people who have drawn for ages use, where they do that three tone kind of system for drawing. You know, like Da Vinci or whatever. I don't know who else used to, well, I guess all the artists used to draw, but so you might have like a sepia tone or something for your midtones, and charcoal for your shadows, and then white highlights. But also, like sometimes when I do these charcoal pictures, I kind of tone the paper myself with like powder charcoal. Like whenever I sharpen a charcoal pencil, or like I don't know, you end up with all this residual. So like I've talked about this before. I don't actually sharpen my pencils with a pencil sharpener. I sharpen them with like sandpaper, right? So like if I want to create a point on this, I'll whittle it down with a pocket knife, and then I'll come in and I'll use sandpaper to actually sharpen it so I can get details. Not a lot of details in this dog, but that's what I do if I'm like wanting really fine details. So all that powder that builds up on the sandpaper, I just put that in a bowl, and then I got the powder for whenever I want to tone a piece of paper. I mean, eventually you'll learn that kind of stuff if you work with charcoal, like within 5 seconds of working with charcoal. But you know, if you're completely new to working with charcoal, there's a little pro tip, I guess. Even though I'm not a professional, so I kind of like this. There's more details that I want to add. I just wanted to test my method for adding some highlight real quick. Um, so I do have this like white pastel stick. I just kind of want to come in here and see if I can add some highlights right along the ridge of the nose and see if that comes out looking okay or not. Yeah, I like that. All right, cool. That saves me a lot of worry. So I'll probably move back to adding detail in the charcoal. I just wanted to double check. So like, so like the eye is super dark. I can even come in because this is such a soft pastel. This is like a Rembrandt pastel. I've got a whole box of different pastels and stuff, but I like these because they're super soft, which means you can layer them really well. So like I can even come over this really dark eye, I think. Yeah, and I can come in and add like a little, you know, reflection light. So it's the equivalent of a gel pen for charcoal. If you ever work with ink or watercolor or something like that, you know about the white gel pens. They're They're like perfect for adding details when you're all done, you know, like little highlights on his nose. There's like little bits of highlight underneath his nostril that come through here. So in charcoal, the equivalent of the gel pen is, you know, like a really soft pastel because it'll allow you to overlay everything else. And even though it's a big chunky block, you kind of use the edges of it to kind of put in finer points. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that that worked before I got too far along. Like all through here would probably be some highlights. But I'm not done yet because I really want this to be a super black dog. So I ain't done yet. I'm still adding charcoal. Lots of charcoal. The other thing that's cool about charcoal is it's kind of cheap. It's basically the poor man's medium, right? So like you can go to Walmart and pick up a cheap set of charcoal that's practically as good as any of the like name brand ones that master artists use, like professional artists. And you know, there's probably some differences, but I haven't noticed any. I've got like some general charcoals here, which are ones that professional artists use a lot. Um, Honestly, I don't see a major difference between those and the set I picked up at Walmart because they were cheaper. So like 5, 10 bucks or something, you can get all the art supplies you need. Well, paper's not cheap anymore, but so if you're just looking to get started and you're bored of graphite pencils, which is where we all get started, right? I got started using graphite pencils. The only reason I gave up graphite pencils is because you know I really like to create that depth in a picture, and I couldn't get at them as dark as I wanted them to. Like even with the really soft pencils, it just wouldn't go dark enough. Charcoal's always dark if you really press down and use a lot of it. And like I said, it's really easy to blend, and you know I suppose you can do all this with graphite too. It's just not my thing as much. Like whenever I draw on graphite pencils, I feel like I want to pull out a mechanical pencil and just kind of really do like fine lines and stuff like that, almost like I'm using like an ink pen. So like in some of these highlighted areas, it's kind of tough to do, even though I did sharpen this pencil. This is a drawback to working with charcoal, at least on this paper, which does have a texture. It's really hard to get fine lines, you know. Like at this point, I would switch to like a mechanical pencil if I was doing graphite. But here in charcoal, I don't know. Somebody better at it than me might be able to get like better lines, but just putting in like little details of fur, it's kind of all just kind of mashed together, so it's really hard to get really, really fine lines. But again, that could also just be me. So don't take my word for it. Like it's a complete drawback of charcoal. And then this actually is what I really like about charcoal. I guess you can do this with graphite too, but charcoal works really well. You can come in with like a kneaded eraser and just kind of lift up charcoal if you want to create highlights. So like notice how around his eyes it was really dark before. So I can come in here and it, you know, because I have so much charcoal down, it's a little more difficult than if I just had like a light coating. Um, but I can just come in and kind of lift some of the stuff up so that you get some more highlights around the eyes. But because I put down so much charcoal, I don't think I'm going to get it very light. But anyway, I think that's a little bit lighter. Like you guys can use the scrub bar to kind of go back and check my work, but I think that's a little bit lighter there. Which, you know, around the eyes, I kind of want it to be just a little bit lighter than what I had before. And I do want that eye to be a little bit smoother. Like at this point, I'm getting into some of the finer details that I really don't care about and what I was trying to do here. But, you know, you're gonna, anything worth doing is worth overdoing, in my opinion. That's not true. In art, you can actually overdo something, so don't do that. It's actually something that we're all known for doing. That's a bad habit is overworking a picture, but I don't know. It's still my philosophy. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. I'd rather overdo it than underdo it. Like that's actually a habit that like I'm trying to break is like I'll get good enough on a picture and call it done, even though I could probably like add more detail and make it better. Like people post like how much time they spent on a picture and they'd say like 6 hours, or 40 hours even. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't have the patience for that. So as far as like a hyper realistic picture that took like 40 hours to complete, you'll probably never see me create one of those. I don't know. Unless I'm doing it as a challenge to myself. Usually my live streams go for about 2 hours, and I feel like that's a good limit, you know. Put in some highlights around. Yeah. So I could be doing this with my pencil as well if I really wanted those fine lines. But the problem is, most of these white charcoals, maybe it's just the set I've got, they're not as soft. They're not soft enough to go over like really heavy charcoal like what I put down here. Um, so I mean, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But like I've got this pencil here. It's kind of a hard pastel. So if I wanted to put in some white, it'll probably. I'm gonna try here. All it does is kind of smudge it, which is cool because it's like a nice little blending tool, but it's not going to give me that super white that I really wanted on those highlights. So that's why I use the soft pastel. But as you can see, more realistic eyes just by doing that little bit. So it really doesn't take much to like. I'm a fan. So this is my own particular style. I'm not recommending this if you're new or anything like that. I'm just saying how I do things for better or worse. So like I look at a picture as like, okay, so this is a focal point. This is what everybody's looking at. Who cares what kind of details I put down here? Nobody's looking down there. So, that's my own style. I don't recommend it for everybody. Like some people want to 12 hours and that's nuts. We're- That's a lot of patience, sir. Like that is a lot of patience. I assume you kind of break it up though, like you don't just sit down and do like a 12-hour sitting. I mean, I would hope so. But yeah, I don't know if I can like have the patience to do a picture that takes 12 hours. First off, I don't know if I would have the imagination to know what a picture is going to look like 12 hours later, you know? Like I can kind of guess what a picture is going to look like after 2 hours, but to have that kind of hats off to you, sir. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, I like that. That's kind of cool. But in all honesty, I would like to get there. I would like to have a, like multiple session picture. Yeah, so like 2 hours a day for 6 days, something like that, um, where like I'm comfortable just leaving it unfinished. The best I can do on that, to be honest, is overnight. Like I'll start a watercolor and like leave it overnight to dry or something, like the base coat, and then come back and work on it the next day. I think that's my limit though. Like I don't know. I'm also kind of like OCD where it's like once I start something, I want to finish it, and even if it's not like where it could be, I still call it done after a certain amount of time, just so that I could move on to something else. But these are things I'm working on. Like I said, I'm just getting started. I recognize that patience is a not just a virtue, but like a requirement for artists. I feel like that's a heavy requirement, and I feel like I'm a pretty patient person, but it only goes so far. Yeah, so I don't know if I've got the patience for hyperrealism, but also I've kind of got the philosophy. Like I know that hyperrealism is super popular right now, um, and like that's what gets all the likes and everything on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all that. People love that hyperrealism, but in my mind, it's like if you're gonna make something that looks like a photo, just take a photo. I like more expressive style. I don't know, for better or worse. I realize that that's not for everybody, but 40 plus hours, geez, that's nuts, man. And maybe I'll build up to that. Maybe I'll build up to that. I don't know. I kind of feel like I kind of feel like that's something I have to challenge myself with. Like just do a 40-hour picture just to see what it looks like when I'm done with it, and then I can judge. Right now I have nothing to go off of because I haven't done one. I would stop just short of like a hyper realistic picture. I feel like I could pull it off though. Like if I actually took the time. Like with this picture, I didn't measure anything. I just kind of freehanded it. I'm kind of eyeballing it and stuff like that. I feel like I could pull off a hyper realistic picture where, you know, I'm moving at half hour per square inch, getting it done. I should try that sometime just to see if I can do it. Got to progress as an artist. You can't just stay stagnant. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Like, yeah, I saw that you did, like, I've checked out some of your stuff, but the one I remember is that you were working on Super Mario Brother. So obviously there's not a real Super Mario Brothers. So if like you're doing hyper realistic on Super Mario Brothers, there's a lot to work with. Whereas like your interpretation of what Super Mario would like Mario, I don't have to call him Super Mario. What Mario might look like in the real world. I respect that. I've seen people do that with anime characters and stuff. That's always really cool. Hey Ben, how's it going? Thanks. Doing a black lab, trying to make them super black. I've basically gone over every square inch of this like 3, 4 times trying to like get it super black. We don't want no gray lab. This is gonna be a black lab. Yeah, this chat this speakeasy tonight. Sure. So it just seems to me that like whenever I'm scrolling through TikTok, like I said, I've only been like really doing the art thing for since January, so I don't know what's been out there for the like what's really out there, but it seems like whenever I'm scrolling through the stuff that seems most popular, and it just may be my feed, I don't know, maybe my feed's limited or whatever, but it seems like everybody's really into like the hyper realistic stuff. Like, so I'll give you an example. Wednesday Adams. Everybody draws Wednesday Adams at some point, right? So I like drawing Wednesday Adams just because she's got this, symmetrical face. She's got really interesting features. It's just fun. So I like drawing Wednesday Adams. But when you look at the versions of Wednesday Addams, because everybody's got their own style, the ones that people really, really like seem to be the hyper realistic pictures of her where she looks just like a photo. So, titanium snitching dog. This is a duck hunter. That's what the kind of dog this is. This dog is hunting my geese that I drew the other day. This dog wants that geese, and I don't feel very optimistic for what is going to happen to that geese. So double check my proportions. I think these are good proportions. I think maybe bring this down just a little bit, round that out a little bit. So a lot of this is shadow, and there's not like a lot of information there to kind of like interpret and do landmarks and stuff. Hunt dog hunt. Hey, Vertigo, how's it going, man? Thanks. Yeah, this one's a bird dog for sure. And I'm probably only thinking that because I did draw that geese yesterday. I'm saying geese. I don't know what the singular version of geese is. I think it's goose. So I drew that goose yesterday. Um, and for some reason, I can't help but associate this dog with that goose. For those late to the show, I'm drinking the muscadine wine tonight. I'm gonna go looking for your Wednesday Addams interpretation because like I'm a connoisseur of Wednesday Addams art now. Like I've done a couple. There's one behind me on this side. It's actually my most popular video. Like I said, I've only been doing this for a while, but I did Wednesday Addams in charcoal one time. I did her in colored pencil. I don't know if I tried to draw her in pastels or not. Um, I'll probably get around to trying in watercolor at some point. I don't know. It's just an easy face to draw, and it's a good like if you're just trying out different styles and stuff. You want a face that's symmetrical like hers, and it's easy to do. Like if you're gonna pick somebody, like back in the day, it was Gillian Anderson, right, from X-Files. She had the symmetrical face, easy to draw. You don't have like a lot of like strange features that you had to worry about. You've got the really expressive eyes, you know. Some people are just really good models to draw, I think. And I would definitely put Wednesday Addams in that um, category. And it being Wednesday, I should be drawing Wednesday Addams, but nope, we're doing Black Lab. Black Lab Wednesday. I mean, it's a pretty black dog now, but I feel like it can go blacker. So I'm just gonna keep adding charcoal until like I run out of charcoal or we run out of time. But this is like my problem. So like I'm looking at this and I'm like, this looks pretty nice. I can call this done, but I feel like I could actually refine it more. Oh, it's Tuesday. That's what I'm saying. I've done live streams on Wednesdays and I'm off, I guess. Whoops. Hey, maybe that's what I'll draw tomorrow. I'll draw another Wednesday Adams because like today is in fact Tuesday, asshole. Thanks, Ben. Oh, the worst one is it was a Monday night I did a live stream and I don't know, like I guess I was just used to saying you know, happy Wednesday or happy Friday or something like that. And I think I called a Monday a Friday. That's the worst. I mean, it could be Wednesday. I don't know. I don't want to lose time. I'd rather gain time. Can it be Monday? I don't want it to be Monday. Monday stuff. Can it be Friday? So for those of you guys that aren't used to using sticks, whether it's pastel or charcoal, it you know, even though it's a big chunky thing, it doesn't have to be. So like you can use the edge of it to get like large areas done, but also you can kind of use like the edge to do fine like this is like misleading because I've already whittled it down, but you can kind of like use the edge there and create like a fine line. So like a lot of the pastels you buy actually come in sticks and stuff, and people look at those like, oh man, I need to get some pastel pencils now, which, you know, pastel pencils will help, but also you can still create fine lines with the edge of the stick. Just a little art tip there. Hey, Trusted, welcome back. So how's everybody's week going? I mean, Tuesday, that's kind of a start to a week. I can't believe I called them. The problem is I work from home, so I don't really know what day it is. I work in weekly cycles, so like if I don't get everything done by Friday, then I know. But any particular day of the week, I don't care. I only like weekends don't really even matter to me. Like I only like weekends because other people don't bother me on weekends. That's why weekends matter. Yeah, I don't. So that's the common feedback I get when people talk about like pastels or charcoal. It's messy. It gets everywhere. Like I've been kind of controlling it a little bit here, but I don't know if you ever watched Mad Charcoal's channel, but he just kind of goes nuts with his charcoal. So I do that sometimes just for fun, and it gets everywhere. It's all over the place and stuff. But I don't mind it so much. I mean, probably I'm breathing more of it than I should be, but as far as like just getting messy and stuff, I don't care. Like once I'm done with this, I'll go wash my hands and I'll be done with it. It is kind of awkward because I am doing the recording, so like when I'm done, I have to hit stop on the thing. So like I've got charcoal all over my laptop. It's kind of funny actually. So I have to clean my laptop a lot more than I used to. Transplanted 50 irises. That's cool. You guys all doing gardens? That's cool. That's what I should be doing. It being spring and all, I should be out there doing flowers. I am gonna try to get out and do some nature pictures. Like there's a picture that I'm going to be doing soon, probably in watercolor, a landscape of I went kayaking over the weekend, and I took some pictures that I thought would be nice to try and do like a landscape of in watercolor. I think it's gonna be watercolor, just because I want to practice in watercolor and get better at it. So I took some pictures. I took some videos of actually kayaking around. I'm gonna add that to it and try to create like, one of those 10-minute videos or something. I was gonna do that tonight for the live stream, but then I thought, no, I got all this video from kayaking. I'll try to add that to it and try to make it more interesting than just a time lapse video or something. That's sort of issue for the yeah. So like, well, there's a reason why I don't do digital, even though like I'm fully capable of doing digital, having like graphic arts experience. Um, I like the whole tactile side of it. I like to get my hands dirty. I want to be the caveman making, like stick figures on the wall and clay or whatever. That appeals to me. So like I know that digital's all the rage these days, but I actually like getting my hands dirty. No, I haven't done DB Cooper yet. Ben's got a one-track mind. All right, so I'm going to try to add some highlights to various areas here. Um, let's see, how are we doing on time? Yeah, so these little subtle areas of white. So this is where his the gums of his mouth is, so like his lips almost. There's some white through there. And then I don't know if I should do it. Yeah, I guess. So there's like little tufts of white coming off his ear. There is kind of like a highlight line because he is backlit. I'm calling it a he, it's probably a she. Like highlights on his ear because he is backlit. Yeah, I drew a picture for send for you there. Lorraine got that. Lorraine asked for it and I sent it off to her. I'm gonna wait here, even though there's not really anything over here. I should probably add some stuff over there. Anyway, a little patch of fur through here. So this part through here, again, you need a really soft pastel to go over charcoal like this, and you end up getting charcoal all over it. But it's the only thing that really works, or the only thing that I've tried that works. But I do like pastels as well. They're a lot of fun. To the TV. I will get around to drawing DB Cooper, but he's just a dude with sunglasses. There's not like a lot of challenge there. Watching paint dry. What are you saying about watching paint dry, Mama Q? Are you saying that it's no fun to watch paint dry? That's like my whole channel. I'm just kidding. I barely ever paint, so. So just little tufts of fur through here. That's all I'm doing. Little details over the charcoal. And I'm trying to catch, and like I said, so this is kind of round now, so I'm trying to catch little edges of it so that I can get, you know, little tufts of fur. I can try using my pencil, but I know what's going to happen. It's just going to smear things because it's not really cut out for this. I don't even know who Rod Addicts is. I do not get your references. Who is Rod Addicts? Is that like a wrestler or something? I know that you guys are into that. Is that like a sport guy or something? I don't know who these people are. I'm just a nerd who draws pictures. Yeah, I usually go for about 2 hours, MG, which means I probably go for another half hour, or if it's done, it's done. I'm not going to just like work on it just because it's here. But yeah, usually I take about 2 hours to draw a picture. I am thinking about like doing a marathon, some Saturday or something. I think that would be kind of fun to like, I don't know. I think the format would be I would ask people what they want me to draw. Hint, Ben, you can have me draw DB Cooper then. It would just be totally community based. So like you guys tell me what you want me to draw, and I start like super early in the morning on Saturday, and I just sit in this chair, except for bathroom breaks, all day, just drawing whatever you guys want for like, I don't know, like 8 hours or something. Or, you know, maybe even up to 10, I don't care. But just do like a marathon, and obviously you guys wouldn't want to watch for like 10 hours probably, but you could hop in, hop out, take a nap. I hear I put people to sleep. And that'd be kind of fun. I haven't done a marathon like that before, and I've seen some other people do it, and it looks like fun. I hope to be severely drunk at the end of the day. Or maybe I won't drink for that one, just so that like, I can make it the entire time. Maybe I'll just drink a lot of coffee. So these white highlights are just kind of like to bring out some cool fur shit lighting. It's not really necessary. You can just like not draw these areas, and then you won't have to do these things. But I like to I like to kind of like put in all the darks and then come back and do highlights. It's fun. I was thinking about making my own charcoal there, Packer Jack. I was going to I don't know how, but I was gonna take some hardwoods and set fire to them, I guess, just to see if I can make charcoal. Because like again, I don't know, like I keep saying it, so it must be true. Um, I've got this thing in my mind that like I'm like a caveman in a cave drawing pictures, and you reach into the fire, you pull out a stick, and you draw with the charcoal that comes out the thing. That's what I have in my mind when I'm doing this. It's all fantasy or whatever, but that would be awesome. So like, yeah, I would love to make my own charcoal out of hardwood, burnt burnt charcoal. I don't know if you can even do that, but I don't see why not. So I don't have any dark over here. I really should have drawn some, so I have to draw whiskers in black, even though in my reference picture they're kind of like in white. I always screw up the whiskers too. Like I overdo it. I draw too many whiskers. You can't even see them on camera, so it doesn't matter. There's also maybe a whisker coming off here. I have a whisker there. Oh, just hints of whiskers. Does that even show? Yeah, that shows up. Cool. Now here is where I would like to have like a proper pencil that can draw over charcoal. It just doesn't work. I've tried. And all it does is smudge things. I don't know. I think that looks like a black lab to me. I guess since I did all that smudging over there, this is where I screwed things up. I'm like, I bet you I could do, and then like I screwed up. But since I put that smudging over there, it's gonna kind of try to extend it over here just to kind of give it a little bit of a background here and kind of smooth out some of this stuff. So for this, I don't want it to be too dark, so I'm just using the charcoal that's already on the blending stump. Also, it gives me a chance to kind of clean my blending stump for like next time. 'Cause, like sometimes I use my blending stump on like really light areas, and you don't want all this charcoal on it. So helps with the expressive style, cleans your blending stump, adds a little background. Problem is like your blending stump is usually unevenly darkened, so like you gotta be a little careful with it. And of course, you can easily overdo it. I don't want to smear too much of his actual face. I actually put in those whiskers already, so I don't want to screw that up. Anyway, it might have been a bit too much. I kind of like the dog just kind of being out there on a white background, but I'm not completely unhappy with it. There's usually something I hate about every picture I do, so I don't know. If this is the only thing I hate about this, then I usually like a picture while I'm working on it, and then like I don't know, in the wee hours of the night, I look at it and I'm like, man, that's a terrible picture. I hate all my stuff in some way. Like there's always something I hate about everything I do. Um, and I usually don't know that I hate it until I go to take a picture of it to post it on the internet. And like on Instagram or whatever. And I'm like, oh man, I hate that. It's usually like when I notice that something that I wasn't paying attention to while I was working on it is like completely out of proportions. Like, I don't know. Like I feel a little weird about this nose. I feel like this nose could be a little bit higher. Like I feel like the nose line could come across here a little bit higher, but I'm not going to beat myself up to over it too bad. I am getting better at freehanding things, so the fact that I can get it almost right just without any tools or aids or anything, I feel good about that. Learn some of this junk. It's a smaller blending tool. Well, I certainly don't want to fear my art. I don't want to be afraid of this dog coming out and getting me. I don't know. I don't hate it. Like, I don't want to give the wrong impression. Like, I don't hate my stuff. I just, if I said I hate it, then that might be a little overboard. It's just, there's always something I don't like about it, you know? Some little thing. But you know what? The great thing about it is if you don't like it, do another one. You know? Let's keep going at it. This is probably not the last Black Lab I will ever draw. Maybe I'll get the next one right. Well, I wanted a super black dog. I guess parts of them are. I don't know how successful I was on that front. Like, some of this could be darker. That's where I would spend my 60 hours if I was trying to do something. I would be like, actually, so Vertigo, quite a few people have actually said, I don't know if they're just being nice or whatever, but they have said that they you know, something I'm doing inspired them to do their own thing. Trusted Living, who was in here earlier, went off and bought a whole set of charcoals just because I was working on charcoals. Um, uh, I don't I don't think it's bad to name names just to say that people are creating art, but um, you know, Gallatin Ghost back in the day when she had more free time, she was doing some art, uh, partially inspired by me doing stuff. P Denver has been doing art because like I don't know, like she watches my show and it just kind of like inspired her to do it. So yeah, I mean, Why Must I Go was in here earlier. He sent me some stuff he did. There's Because I Can has sent me stuff. A couple of people, yeah. So it's kind of cool from that front standpoint, you know. In my old job, I was in charge of bring like kind of tutoring or mentoring new hires, and I really enjoyed that. So if somebody gets something out of this to where, you know, like they need some mentorship or something like that, I don't know if I have any kind of skills to mentor somebody in creating art, but that would bring me joy if I get to that point, you know, where I can actually like teach people to do stuff. I'm trying, you know, I'm explaining what I'm working on and how I'm doing it and stuff. So like there's a reason for that. I want to kind of fill that teacher role as much as I can. So those are all good things. I like that kind of stuff. All right. I think this guy is about done. Like there's probably some more little details I can add to him, but for the most part, I think he's pretty consistently looking like some of the other things that I've created in the past. I like him. I think he looks cool. I'm gonna call him a he, even though I would guess it's probably a she. For some reason, all black labs must be she's, and they must be called BB for some reason. My grandmother had a black lab named BB. Round off this chin a little bit so it's not so. Bring this down a little bit. Oh, I keep tinkering with it. I'll screw it up somehow. Sure. Hmm, looks like a dog. Hey, thanks everybody. I'm sitting here musing to myself when I look in the chat, and you guys are actually complimenting me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, guys. Let me do the traditional take a sip and see if there's any last minute fixes I can do. I mean, it's not perfect, but it is what it is. I don't know if there's any quick changes I can do or quick improvements. I'm not about perfection. I'm about improvement. So like if there's any like low hanging fruit where I can just kind of like fix something here or there, I would do it. But I don't see anything like I see some things that I would change if I could. I would move his nose up a little bit if I could just magically, erase it, uh, control Z it. I would move his nose up a little bit, but I can't do that. So I'm kind of stuck with this. Move his nose up, maybe extend it out a little bit. I don't know. I like the eyes. The eyes turned out pretty good. I like the ears. I'm a big fan of dog ears. They're like little tiny fluffy velvet things that I just like. I like to take the dog and just kind of rub. No, now I'm getting charcoal all over my ear. Never mind. All right, I'm gonna call this done. I'm gonna stop tinkering. Anyway, I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Sticky Art, I appreciate you guys sending the raid my way. If I had a lot of watchers, I would send them back your way, but I did subscribe. I encourage you guys to go and subscribe to Sticky Art's channel. He does like a ton of like fun stuff on his channel. Um, but yeah, we're gonna call this done, and let me switch back to me. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'm gonna put this one in the books. I will like take a picture of it, put it up on the community tab. Like, got black. Oh, anyway. Um, I'll put it up on the community tab so that you guys can check it out. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on a Tuesday night, not Wednesday. And I'll see you guys again on Friday. And until then, have a good one. See ya.